Now, starting with the degree of toxicity. This is actually a picture of a cobra, which is an alapid. And the only one thing that differentiates the alapids from the rest of the snakes is that alapid is the only category of the poisonous snakes that can stand up erect like this. Otherwise, all the rest of the snakes, they just crawl on the earth and they cannot stand up with the position that the king cobra stands like this. The degree of toxicity, the severity, and the clinical manifestation of envenomation depends upon a number of factors, out of which, let's see, there are predominantly 8 factors. Number one, number of strikes. Like how many times did the snake strike the victim? And it also is dependent upon that the snake might have bit other preys before biting another one like a human being. It might have bit a rodent, it might have hit or hunted down some other prey, and it is possible that the venom might have been injected in that previous victim. So, number of strikes, number one. Then depth of envenomation. Sometimes it's a very cold season and the person is wearing a lot of clothes like a jacket, leather jacket, sweater, and very warm jeans or things like that. So depth of the envenomation cannot reach to the victim's skin or the muscle if he is wearing a lot of clothes. Then size of the snake. If it's an adult snake, that has the potency to inject the entire potent venom into the victim. Then potency of the venom. Again, it has already been discussed that the snake might have bit other prey before biting a human. So there is possibility that the venom was less or the potency of the venom has been decreased. Then again, the amount of the venom injected, and it is also dependent on the multiple factors like number of clothings, the site of the bite, and the venom present in the snake itself. Then size of the victim, whether it's a small child or a small adult or a individual with some debilitating underlying health condition. So here comes the next point. What is the underlying health of the victim? And finally, the location of the bite. If it's that the snake has bit on the feet of an individual or a foot of an individual, it takes a lot more time to travel to the central nervous system in case of an alapid envenomation rather than when it is that the bite is on the face of the individual. So now summing up all of this, we observe that the most effective bite would be of a large snake injecting a complete dose of potent venom in either a child or a small adult or adult with underlying medical conditions like diabetes mellitus or cardiovascular disease. So this was the degree of toxicity. Now coming on to the point that what is the fatal dose in case of a cobra bite? It is only 15 milligram, and this is one of your OSPI questions. Then it's 15 milligram of a dried cobra venom. An amount of a dried cobra venom in a single snake bite is about 200 to 350 milligrams. So if it's an adult snake and that adult snake has bit an individual and has injected the entire venom in that individual, and also that the individual has been bit on the upper extremities or the neck or the face, that individual stands a very little chance of survival. The fatal period in case of a cobra bite is from a few minutes to few hours. Next, coming on to the vipers. In case of a viper, the fatal dose is only 20 milligram. An amount of the dried viper venom in a single bite yielded is like 150 to 200 milligram. And the fatal period in vipers, it depends that if the bite and the venom injected through the bite has led to an anaphylactic reaction leading to disseminated intravascular coagulation, the victim might die within the matter of hours, like within 6 hours. That is the least reported time. However, if the bite site is at a peripheral point like a foot or a leg, and the effect has not been that massive, it might takes a few days before the individual dies. And that also is that if proper antivenom therapy is not ensued upon. Finally, the sea snakes. In case of a sea snake, the fatal dose is only 1.5 milligram. Most sea snakes produce an average of 10 to 15 milligram of venom, so they should always be approached with caution, as this venom is 10 times more lethal than the venom of the land-based rattlesnake or Africa's deadly black mamba. And the fatal period in case of a sea snake ranges between 24 to 48 hours. Finally, coming on to the main topic of this part of the lecture, that the differences between the elapids and the vipers. Again, as we discussed in the poisonous and the non-poisonous snakes, the very first point to be noticed is the body. The body of elapid is long and cylindrical, and it is short in case of vipers. Head of the elapids is of nearly the same width as the neck, whereas in case of vipers, the head is triangular and wider than the neck. Pupils, they are rounded in case of elapid, and they are vertical in case of vipers. The maxillary bone structure of the elapid, it carries fangs and other teeth also. However, in case of the vipers, it only carries the fangs, as they are long, canalized like hypodermic needles, and they stay tucked along the maxillary bone when the snake is not in the state of biting the victim. Then fangs, in case of elapids, they are short, fixed and grooved, and in case of vipers, they are long, movable and canalized. The tail is rounded in case of elapids, and it's tapering in case of vipers. Venom is neurotoxic in elapids, vasculotoxic in vipers. And other characteristics is that the elapids are oviparous and vipers are oviviviparous. That is, they lay eggs as well as individuals of newborn form. Thank you.